All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's virtual farm tour sponsored by GEA. I'm Scott Pilgrim, a hygiene specialist covering the Wisconsin area, and I'm excited today to showcase the Kieler farm as they expanded their operation and brought some exciting new technology. For the last 72 years, Kieler Farms has focused on taking care of their land, animals, and employees. Today, through growth, efficiency, and environmental responsibilities, the farm supports the livelihoods of 9 family member owner-operators. A recent parlor expansion and milking technology upgrade allowed the Kielers to triple their cow numbers while keeping the same number of milking staff. The new Gia rotary parlor, combined with FutureCow, automated udder prep, and Apollo automated post-dipping tools, ensured the Kielers gained the efficiencies they needed to manage and milk their 1,800 cow herd. Now, here to lead you through the entire operation and tell you all about the latest technology they utilize on the farm is the Kieler family.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? No? No? Hello?
Is the green light on? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon. We are the Kieler Farms family here. This is part of us. And I'm going to start off by introducing the whole rest of us here. So we started in 1947 when my grandfather started the farm with his brother, and today we have 9 family members as owners and operators that span 2 different generations. So, got a lot of stuff in my hands here. First off, we have Leah here, who's married to my oldest brother, and she's right here with us today. So then my parents, Louie and Ann, who are also with us today. And this is my cousin Daniel, who's here. And then my husband Matt and I. And then not pictured are my aunt and uncle, Daniel's parents, and then Eric as well. So there's 9 of us, and we all have our own like kind of niche areas. And then we do all the management decision making together. And this is my dog Bentley. She thinks she's really important too. So that's who we are. We work, I think, pretty well together. We diversify and we do our own thing, but we also work well together. So a little bit about where we started. So like I said, my grandpa started in 1947, and we were milking 13 cows in a stanchion barn back then, what we refer to as the home farm. And then throughout the years, we added on to that. And then in 2001, we built our first parallel parlor, which at the time was a double 8 parallel parlor. And then we expanded on to make it a double 11 parallel parlor. And that barn is located just 2 miles down the road from our current barn. And then we made the decision to build a whole new facility, and we built the 50-stall rotary and the freestall barn. So everything on this site is all new when we started in 2018. So today we're milking 1,800 cows on the 50-stall rotary parlor that I talked about. We also have beef cows, and then we raise all of our heifers up, and we raise all of our steers to market weight. We have 36 employees. That is including the 9 family members that I talked about. Then in addition to the 9 family members that are owners, we also, one of my other brothers is employed for us part-time. And then my father-in-law, my husband Matt, his dad also works for us. So that also spans between high school part-time, like where they work like 2 hours a week, all the way up to full-time staff. This kind of gives you a little overview of the area. So it starts off with, here are the manure lagoons. There's a driveway to the road here. And then it goes down. The parlor is right inside of here. And we have overhead garage doors that have glass on them, so we can get natural light in there, and also you can see it from the road when people drive by. The milk tanks are there, and the parlor is here, or the freestall is here. Then the sand separating building is back here, and we just built this new, this was actually the day we were starting this project. this new calf pad here where we have calf huts here. We like to move the calf huts around for contamination and to cut down on diseases. And then this is the whole feed pad area. The commodity shed is here. And then the feed storage, this is the corn silage pile. And then we put calf huts on there when the piles are gone. And then when we feed, the mixers are here. But we'll talk about a little bit more of that. So a little bit about the profitability. When we built this new barn, one thing that we really wanted to improve was our efficiency. In our old barn, it just felt like everything was getting to the point. Movement of the cows, and how there wasn't much downtime in between the milking groups. Also, cow comfort was a huge criteria for us. We definitely feel like that's been an improvement since we've moved into our new barn as well. And we'll talk about a lot more of that later on. And then okay, this microphone is on now. As far as the facility, we wanted to make it nice for the employees. It's a lot more climate controlled inside of the parlor area. And also we wanted to have the education area. So we have a downstairs and an upstairs observation room. So we host tours, we've hosted different events. And it's nice because people can just stand there and they can see everything that's happening. So that's kind of the highlights. So then we'll jump into the milking parlor.
Okay, so, yeah, use this too. Okay, so I'm Leah. I'm married to Eric, her oldest. Is this one with the red?
Oh, it's the laser, yeah.
Okay. And I kind of manage the parlor, so so here is our holding area that can hold over 300 cows. You can kind of have two groups in there at once with our solid crowd gate. They enter the parlor here. When they enter the parlor, they start going this way. This green box by their head that immediately reads their RFID tag in their ear, sends that information over to the computer in this room. So this is Daniel's vet room. So she enters here. Our first person is prepping the cows with our FutureCow brushes here. They prep there, and then the cow comes around, and a minute and a half after she enters the parlor and is prepped, the second person attaches the milker. Then she's coming around here, and hopefully she's done over here. Then she gets post-dipped by the Apollo system, so we don't have a third person post-dipping. Our third person actually is doing little jobs around the parlor to make everything run smoothly. They're shutting the gate at the end, moving the crowd gate, making sure that the other milkers have everything that they need. Then when they get over here, they exit the parlor. We have a sort gate as they go out here. It's a single lane sort gate. And sort pens over here. That area is used for the hoof trimmer and other things that when we need to hold cows for certain reasons. That there is also a small holding area out here where they wait before they go back to their group, where they can eat and lay down in the sand beds. The cows are in this holding pen, away from their pen for less than an hour. That was one of the biggest things. We really wanted to make sure that the cows could come up, get milked, and be back in their pen in less than an hour. We can milk 275 cows in less than an hour, which was a great efficiency improvement for us. And I think that's all I have for the parlor. Okay, so FutureCow, I think there's a little bit. Okay, so here's Jose. He's running the FutureCow brush. This is right where the cows come in. So they do one round of cleaning and then one round of drying. So all they're doing is prepping the cows, cleaning and drying. That's what we focus them on, cleaning and drying. That's all they have to focus on. They also do monitor when the cows come in and off. They monitor a little bit of the crowd gate up and down, but we really want them to focus on cleaning and drying the cows because that's one of the most important steps in the milking process. The FutureCow has really been great for efficiency and cutting down on, I guess, human variation. They all do the same thing, and that's been great for training purposes. It's really easy to train them. I know that they're all doing the same thing. It's really easy maintenance. I'm looking at it every day, changing the brushes, making sure it's up to date. They know when to tell me something's wrong, and it's really easy to switch out a brush. So that's been a huge improvement on training and having the employees know exactly what they need to do. The Apollo system. So the Apollo system is basically this right here on the milker. That's a series of valves and things that's controlled by air. So when the milk flow slows down, the computer will sense that. Milk will stop flowing, a valve will turn, and the post-dip is right up here in the unit. So you can see she got post-dip there. Then the milker comes off, swings back down, and by law is rinsed, so there's no post-dip, nothing going into the milking line. It's been a great way for us for efficiency, and we don't have to have a person standing there post-dipping cows the whole time. It is maintenance. I do have to maintain it. I do look at it every day, but I know how to fix them, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I really love it. I think it's allowed us to use our employees elsewhere. That's housing.
I'm Matt, Renee's husband. So we have a cross-ventilated freestall barn. It's 12 rows. Where's that pointer? There you go. Right here. If you're not familiar with what a cross-ventilated freestall barn is, it has an intake curtain on the opposite side, and then on this side it has fans, and that draws air across the barn, across the cows. It's in a two-row stall configuration, so across the barn there's 6 rows or 6 pens with 2 rows of stalls each. Let's see what else. The stalls are bedded with sand, and we have Artex stall loops, and then we also have Artex headlocks in every pen we use for herd management. Just hit the arrow. And we use recycled sand bedding that we reclaim from our manure. When we were thinking about building this barn, we toured a lot, and normal cross-ventilated barns have solid baffles, and we didn't really like the look of that and the environment it made. So we ended up opting out of that, and we didn't put any baffles in. But this summer we put, you can see right here, a curtain baffle in as kind of an experiment, and we were really happy with the result. It increased our wind speed from 4 to 5 miles an hour to 12 to 15 in that area of the barn. So we'll probably be putting more of those in the future. The ventilation of the barn, like I said, there's curtains on one end and the fans on the other side. We have J&D direct drive fans. There's 90 72-inch fans right here. And then there's 9 55-inch fans. The 72-inch fans are on variable speed. They adjust. We have a livestock comfort system, which is basically a computer system, has a touch screen interface, and it's constantly adjusting the fan speed based on temperature, wind speed, and static pressure in the barn. And the 55-inch fans are just winter fans. They run constant all the time, and the only time we ever turn those off is if we get extreme cold, 10, 15, 20 below zero. And then we also have, can't see them, but we have 22 ridge fans that we run year-round. They're variable speed. They just draw some of the hot, moist air out of the barn. And here's a better view of our baffle curtain, which we will raise that up in the winter. Let's see if I have anything else. Okay, so for manure handling, we scrape our freestyle alleys with a 3-point mensch scraper behind a tractor, and we scrape our manure to a flush flume. The flush flume is basically a stream of water in a pipe that carries the sand-laden manure into our sand separating building, which you see here. Once the manure and the water mixture gets the sand separating building, it goes into a cross channel that's 70 feet long, where the majority of the sand settles out into an auger, and the auger is double flighted, so it takes the majority of the sand to another auger, which transfers it to our sand washer, which you'll be able to see again here. Yeah, up in here, this is the sand washer. And the cross channel's back here. There's coarse sand that does not settle out in that cross channel. It'll settle out in that little river you saw there. We call it right there, we call it a sand lane. And every shift, we milk 3 shifts a day. At least 2 times that's getting cleaned out and dumped back into the cross channel so we can reclaim that fine sand. Okay. And then, so the sand goes up into the sand washer. And at the top of the sand washer, there's this orange. That's a shaker, which dewaters the sand. And we also spray a 1% chlorine solution on to kill any bacteria. So then after this water goes into here, it goes into, we have a 25,000 gallon underground flush tank, which we're constantly recycling that water through the barn to carry the manure back out again. And upcoming in these next couple of slides, you'll see slope screens, which remove the solids right there. So that's how we clean the water to reuse it.
So I'm Dan Kieler. I'm a veterinarian, and I'm cousins to Renee and Eric. So herd health on our farm, we have a very young herd. When we expanded, we actually did not buy any cows. We bought all heifers, and that's what we expanded with. So right now we have quite a few nearing the end of first lactation, second lactation animals. So we have a very, very young herd. We purchased about 1,400 heifers when we expanded. So right now, kind of the stats behind our herd, about 91 pounds a day, 3.6 fat, 3.0 protein. We run about 100,000 somatic cell count. And as I said before, it's a very, very young herd. We run a modified G6G precinct program. Everything is bred first service timed AI. We utilize sex semen on all the heifers. All the heifers get 2 doses of sex semen. First lactation animals can get 2 doses of sex semen, and second lactation animals can get 1 dose, depending if they're on the higher end of their production for their lactation group. We do herd health on Tuesday. Every day of the week, we have a lot better set routine than what we did at our old facility. That's one of the greatest efficiencies we have here. So every single day, we're doing something. Monday is a shot day, Tuesday is herd health, Wednesday is foot trimming, Thursday is drive cows, and Friday is breeding. So that's basically how we function every day of the week. So this morning, I checked all the cows before we came up here. Sorry. If you guys have any questions, or they have a question time after? Oh, okay. So, that one.
Okay, so I will talk about calf raising. I don't feed the calves every day, but I do help on weekends. So the first 24 hours after birth, the calf is put in onto a little bedding pack for the calf. The cow is milked immediately, and that colostrum, if it meets quality standards, is fed directly to that calf. We vaccinate them immediately, like when they're brought out to the hut. We take calves out to the huts once a day, and then we vaccinate them and dehorn them with paste right when we put them in the hut. They're fed twice a day, 3 quarts of pasteurized waste milk twice a day. We use a truck with a tank and a feeder meter. They can just go down the line and feed them in the buckets there. And it's a pretty efficient system. You can feed 350 calves in a couple hours. Then partway, I think it says, after 1 month of age, we feed more milk replacer, and then because there's not quite enough waste milk, we want to keep as much milk in the tanks as possible, so there's not a lot of waste milk for the calves. We have very low mastitis rates, so sometimes it's hard to actually get waste milk for the calves, which is nice. They're raised in individual huts for 8 weeks, and then they're moved into retrofitted hog barns at 8 weeks of age down by where me and Eric live, where they're fed pellets and monitored every day, fresh water, fresh feed every day. And I think that's it for calves. Okay.
Okay, so I do the feeding on the farm, and like I said, my father-in-law works with me. So we mix 19 loads of feed every day, and we have those. Is this on a loop too? Okay, okay. We have 2 Pat's mixers that we just park back to back, and we had both of those mixers prior to building this barn. We had one at our old milking barn, and we had the other one. Maybe I'll just go back. And we had the other one up where we have our heifer freestall barn and steers on a monoslope barn. So we already had those 2 mixers, and we kind of debated on what we wanted to do, if we wanted to get a bigger mixer and stuff. And actually with the size of the pens that we have, there's about roughly 275 cows in each of the larger milking pens. And that divides out almost perfectly to 2 full loads in the mixers that we have. So we just have them parked back to back. I'm continuously loading with the front end loader, and my father-in-law, it just switches between the 2 mixers. Let's see if that plays again. So right here is where we have the mixers parked. And then this is like the loading dock, and this is the commodity shed right here. And so I'm just driving, okay. So I have most of the ingredients here, and then I have like the corn silage here, wet gluten and high moisture corn and hay silage and stuff down here. It was probably earlier this year we switched and started doing premixes, a low cow premix and a high cow premix, and that has really cut down on shrink because where our barn is located, it's very windy up there. So you have these really fine, expensive ingredients, and then you're dumping them in there and you're handling them 19 times, and you're more likely to have some shrink then. So we started doing these premixes, and that has drastically cut down. We also put the whey into the premixes. So the premixes have like the cottonseed, the Amino Plus, the protein mix we use, and then we put the whey in there, and that kind of binds it together, and our shrink rate is way, way down from what it used to be. So those 19 loads include 3 premix loads in there. And we can do those, I know 19 loads sounds like a lot, but we can do it in about 3 hours and 45 minutes from first scoop to last scoop. And then my father-in-law cleans up part of the refusal before we start, and then part of it while we're feeding, and then the last alley during feeding too. So there's a little time when the bunks are empty. We use the Easy Feed for our feeding program, and we've had that for several years now, and that works really well. You can constantly adjust things. So how that works is there's a computer system, and then on the scale, it'll read the ingredient to you, and then as you're dumping into the mixer, it counts down to 0. and you have to get within about 45 pounds on most of your ingredients for it to advance to the next ingredient. So.
So as I said before, we do a modified G6G precinct program. All of our cows are bred by select sires. They are also mated by select sires. We kind of are going for, right now, we are going for components. In years past, we've really focused on reproductive efficiencies, and that really helped us through our transition. But as you know, most people now are really focusing on components, so that's our next thing that we're really focusing on. The other thing we're focusing on is milk out speed in our cows, because our rotary is only a 50. The way it turns, they all need to be milked out by the time they get around. It's not the largest rotary. We do a 72-day voluntary waiting period on all of our cows. I said before, they are all bred first service AI. And it's done weekly, so they're all between 72 to 79 days fresh before they're bred for the first time. For resyncs, we do a resync program, 25-day GnRH, and then they're checked at 32 days post-breeding, and then either re-enrolled in an OVSync program or continue with the OVSync, depending on if they're open or pregnant. I would say right now in our herd, probably in our lactating herd, probably 80% are bred beef. We raise all those out, or try to raise the majority of them out ourselves, probably 75 to 80% of them right now. And then we hope to do more in the future. One of the areas we're experimenting now is different beef breeds that will give us the best terminal beef cross to finish out. So we're experimenting between Angus, Sim Angus, Charolais, and Fleckvieh. I know this is a dairy conference. I'm talking a lot about beef, so people start glazing over. So Beef Expo was last week. So there's what we have on repro. And our reproduction, we hang around 29, 30% preg rate on our herd. We've actually dipped a little bit since we've moved in our new barn, and we're holding on to any animal with a pulse right now. So, but I kind of expect that to rise here within the next year or so. So. I talked about that.
Okay, so, is there a video? Oh, there's a video. Oh, we just got that sign this year, so it's pretty exciting. Oh, and these are, those are our kids. Yes, so, well, here's George and Jackie. So George is also a large animal vet. Forgot to mention that. So these are Daniel's parents. And then this is Eric, my oldest brother, Leah's husband, Daniel, me. We already went over this. So these three are, they didn't want to. These three are Eric and Leah's kids, and these three are Matt and our kids. And they all are within 6 years of each other. So 5 girls, 1 boy. So it's exciting. So I guess now we're gonna open it up for questions.
When it comes to calves, is there a reason why you haven't decided to go to like an automatic feeder? I only feed 20 calves and I feel like I need counseling every week, so I can't imagine that many calves. So why did you choose to go that route and do the huts and kind of feed that way?
With the huts, I felt that we had maximum health benefits out of the huts. I will tell you, with a larger number of calves, it's much easier to have an employee dedicated to that job. And we have basically one full-time person who feeds calves. And I feel like it's very efficient. We're right at the number of calves where one person can easily handle it, easily do it at our level of efficiency. If we had robotic calf feeders, we would need about 12 of them. And the upfront cost in that is kind of steep to wrap your head around with that many.
The feeder meter, actually, we found it here at Expo. That has been a really big time saver. He literally, and I think Eric found an old Ford Ranger on the side of the road for $1,500 or something. We put the tank in back. He hangs his arm out the window and can just go down. It is, we can feed 350 calves in less than 4 hours probably. And and we start the bottle calves, they're on the bucket within 3 to 4 days if they're good and hungry and, healthy. So that really helps. Hector does a really good job of monitoring sickness, and so he has time to feed, plus then monitor, feed pellets, all that. The feeder meter has been a big help with that. Questions?
What's the first-time conception rate on or percentage on your cows?
Right now, offhand, I'd probably say it's about 46% first service conception rate. And on those, I would say first service alone, I would say a third of the cows are receiving sex semen at that time. We'll breed with 4 million count sex semen on the first service for the cows that do receive it. So I have to factor that in. That one, I can tell you right now that the first service conception rate on sex semen is right at 40% on first service sex semen. So would be above 46. 46% is average. I know it's 40 on sex semen, so it's probably would be about a little over 50 on cows that are receiving beef semen.
What made you decide on a 50 stall and not something a little bit bigger?
When we decided that, it was based on we want to grow our own feed. We want to manage the land and have everything ourselves. And I don't want to say that really greedily. Like, we want to be able to put the manure back on our land without having to try to disperse it other places. We want to be able to handle the number of cows that we can handle ourselves, and that's why we went with that size, and that's why we went with that size of barn. With continuous milking, we wanted to milk continuously, full shifts. So
we toured I can't even tell you how many rotaries that we looked at. It's all about economies of scale, where the point is where you're spending too much money or you have to hire another person. I can tell you Eric sat for hours and calculated, and I'm sure Matt did, and I'm sure Louis did. It's all about the numbers and efficiency and what we can do with as little amount as possible. And the size that was perfect. The 50 stall just seemed like the perfect fit for us. And the shift times was a big deal to us. In our parallel parlor, milking took 4 to 5 hours. Our employees wanted more time, wanted to work more, but we had to find odd jobs for them. In this parlor, we're milking 7 hours a day. They can milk an 8-hour shift with cleanup and all that. So that's really been a huge benefit for keeping the employees busy and knowing that we're getting the most efficient, I guess, employees that we can. Shoot. Oh, too bad Eric's not here. He's the nerd about crops. Matt, yeah.
Well, we farm about 3,500 acres. We raise all of our own forages, corn and hay, and then the manure goes back on that ground. Is there any specific questions or? Dragline most of it. Last year was almost all draglined. This year there will be some truck traffic, but hopefully minimal. So we do all of our own planting, harvesting, but we don't really do our own manure handling, but we are looking to get into that in the future.
You have a viewing room. How often you get guests from outside the farm? Which people are this, and what are they discussing?
Viewing room? Who's coming to them?
Oh, our viewing area and stuff. We've had tours from actually all over the world. We we have like, local FFAs, 4-H groups. We've hosted different, like our feed companies, Ladies' Day on the Farm. We had, the schools, pre-K. They're kind of funny. We hosted the dairy breakfast for our county this year, so we had over 3,500 people on the farm, so that was pretty cool. But we've also done tours, pretty much like if somebody contacts us, you're looking at the tour guide right here, so usually somebody contacts us and we give them a tour. It could be somebody's relative, it could be a dairy club from a state nearby. We had a group from Germany, Russia. I think those were the. Oh yeah, and there was some with Japan too. Yeah. So, all over. So what it looks like is actually right inside this door behind us. There's just big bay windows that you can see the rotary right there, and then you can go up the stairs and overlook the holding or the rotary area as well. So that was really important to us when we built this. We always liked the idea of bringing people out to the farm, but our old parlor was like, if there was somebody in there, they were in the way. And so it was really hard to show people around. So when we built this, it was very important. That space was there, so we just built the second story and put the big windows in. And also then on the parlor, there's the 3 large glass garage doors on each side, so you can see it from the road too. So that's pretty cool.
How do you guys handle disputes or decision-making? Is that pretty clear and cut? Everybody's got equal say, or how does that work?
Are you talking employees or amongst ourselves?
Just everybody together. Yeah.
Mostly us.
I actually feel like, I hear all these horror stories of like other families' farms. I actually think the dynamic that we have is really good. Usually, to be honest, how it is you're kind of like, and then you walk away and then you're fine and you hash it out with that person. We really haven't had like earth-shattering. Yeah, one nice thing is, so our new barn is actually in the center of like our land, and so like our house is 2 miles up the road from this. Their house is 2 miles down the road, and then another mile. So we're all on our farm, but our houses are not right next to each other. And we have our own areas too, but I really personally think we get along really well, so.
I work a lot with the employees, so I guess on disputes on that end of it, I would say me and my father-in-law, Louis, do most of the, I guess, little gathering the hens when things go wrong. I guess I can't speak for Louis directly, but he's taught me that to sleep on it or to think about it and don't give an answer or don't react right away is a really solid piece of advice that I've learned from him. And it has worked for me tons of times, even amongst ourselves. I think like she said, we can get a little at each other, but if you just sit on it for a day and think about it, you'll come back to a rational part of yourself. And I think that works with not only employees, but us as owners. So I think that that's a big thing.
One thing that I actually think helps the success of our farm too is that, there's a lot of us, but there's this underlining loyalty and dedication to the farm. So like, everybody's motives are true and loyal. And so even if somebody's kind of frustrating you, you know that they have your back at the end of the day too. Anything else? Question?
Do you have concerns when you're trying to be so open to the public? Do you have concerns about activists? Have you had any problems with that?
I wouldn't say in real life too many activists. I would say that's more like a online thing. So like I notice that sometimes like on my Instagram account, I feel like that's more in the social media. We had like a little bit of pushback when we were in construction, but since then we've had very positive reactions from the community. I think once you are seen as a farm that is willing to bring people onto the farm, people appreciate that, and we've had a lot of really positive experiences since we started milking here.
As far as like having somebody, an activist working for us, I would say that we've tried to do our best in training animal handling. We definitely encourage our employees to, if there's something that happens, to say something to us. I think that because we're there on the farm every day working with them, they feel really comfortable coming to us and saying something they're not comfortable with, or they notice somebody's being just loud around the cows. Like, it's a zero tolerance at our farm. When the video came out at Fair Oaks, we put in more cameras. We know that cameras aren't going to save everything, but we put them in because we know it's an insurance policy to a degree. But I think the biggest thing is that we're there every day, and we have a really good relationship with our employees. Well, we try really hard to. So we encourage them to be open with us and see something if they say something, or say something if they see it.
I noticed on your picture up there, there's two couples a couple on the left and the right, and they're both like an older couple. Who are they?
Two are right here.
The young people on the right are Ann and Louie, and then the couple on the left are and Louie and Ann are my aunt and uncle, and they are Renee's parents and Leah's in-law parents. And then the ones on what would be the far left of the photo, those would be my parents, George and Jackie Kieler, and they're also both vets as well. My mom does not, she's a small animal vet, my dad's a large animal vet. They're owners and moderately involved in the farm.
So at the very beginning, I said that my grandfather started the farm in 1947. Him and my grandma had 8 kids, and George and my dad are 2 of those 8 kids. So they are the second generation, and then now we are the third. So, and those are the cute 4th generation. So George and my dad are brothers. And so my dad spent every day of his life on this farm, and so it'll be great to pass it on to the next generation too.
So do they own shares of the dairy? Do you guys own shares of the dairy?
Yes. The kids, no.
It's all divided up in...
It's what?
It's divided up in couples?
Yes. Yep. And how I know, like you had asked earlier about management, we don't make management decisions based on like who owns the most. Everybody, all 9 of us have it equal. Yeah, we all have an equal say. Our opinions all matter. It's not a ranking system.
That also, I think, helps with, like,
Yes.
if there was a ranking system, it would be a lot harder to...
Yeah, it's not like I own 5 more shares than you, so my opinion matters more. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Were all of you involved in the farm growing up, or you lived far enough away and had other activities that you weren't interested in the farm until you grew up?
I'll start. I was the teenage girl that said, peace out, I'm never coming back to Platteville or the farm. That was me. Matt actually worked on our farm when he attended UW Platteville, and that's how we met. And that is a lot of the reason why we returned. Also, once I left, you appreciate what you had. And I think a lot of people have to leave in order to see what they had and how great it was and how great it is to grow up on a farm, and that's what I want it for my kids too. I definitely do not regret the decision to come back, so that's me.
I was going to add, I was exactly the same. I swore off milking because I grew up on a large dairy. I never wanted to milk another cow in my life, and I got really poor in college. And I did actually work at the vet clinic that George and Jackie own, and for some odd reason, my friend worked at their farm, got me a job. I milked with Ann the first night I trained. I saw Eric, and I thought, I really like my job. So now we got like us got married a year before them, so I think it was bing, bang, boom. Louis was the, the matchmaker in the parlor, so I guess he knew what he was doing, so. And now I milk cows all the time, and I can't imagine not doing it, so.
Hi. I have a question. Can you tell me why choose 42 days beginning breeding? I just know some farm choose 40 days. I don't know why.
72 days is our voluntary waiting period. And we choose that, I chose that number to basically it's the balance point between conception rate and attaining peak milk in the herd. So I feel like our conception rates are very good at 72 days. At one point, we were down to 50 days, and we had extremely poor conception rates early on. So when we were at 50 days and we were breeding off natural heats at 50 days post-calving, we were really struggling, and that was mostly at our old facility. And they were probably, at that point, the conception rates were probably in the 30s. First service conception rate was probably in the 30s at that point. And so we've backed that off from 50 to 60, now I'm at 72. And yeah, I am thinking about going slightly longer for that. I know other farms are pushing it back. I know there's a general push in the industry to extend that out. So that's why I kind of went with that number.
Okay, thank you.
Just before the question, just a little bit word. And well, I have about over 23 international students coming over from Denmark, from Brazil, and from South Africa, and Kenya, and China. They've been doing all internships in Wisconsin, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Michigan, all the region. Their question, well, some students were asking me that question. It's a great family farm, but for next 5 years, what's a future plan for this family farm? And also they really appreciate one thing is today's virtual farm tour really tells people from different country what's American dairy family farm look like. But question is, what's the next 5 years? In next 5 years, what's the future plan for your family dairy? Thank you.
I would say in the next 5 years, our goal is to basically run this thing as peak as possible. That's probably our next 5-year plan, is to making sure we're running this efficiently as possible. The only other really area of expansion we're looking at is in making sure that we're able to raise all of these calves through feedlot and finishing. And that's kind of what we're going through now, is adapting that. For the first year, we were selling a majority of the calves, either at birth or weaning. And now we have a lot of these crossbred calves. We're trying to raise them all the way through finishing. We do have a finishing line. I don't know if we talked that much about it, but that's probably our only real area of expansion that we're probably looking at right now.
Are you saying that?
Yeah, is there any more questions? All right, we ask you got some yellow or orange pieces of paper, questionnaires. If you can please fill them all out. That helps us with these virtual farm tours. And then like to thank you all for coming. Thank the Kielers for opening up their dairy to us. If you do have any questions on any of the GIA products in the video, we have some brochures just outside the door, or please see us out in the exhibition hall just inside from the ice cream booth. So thank you very much. Thank you.